Back to Blue Raiders Stadium for our final segment. Lindsey Wilson wins it by a score of 53-17. Coach Chris Oliver joins me now high above Blue Raider Field. And, Coach, I'm not sure that well, first off, let's talk about Chandler Whittlesey. You said in the pregame that your guys had no idea. You hadn't told them anything about it. It's kind of a slow start, especially defensively. When they found out, did it, you think it kind of shocked them a bit?
Yeah, just because I know how they found out. He was wearing his jersey. He was on their sideline in a cast, and during pregame warm-up, one of our players looked over at him and said, "Hold on, you're not playing." I mean, that's literally what happened. So. I think we got caught up in that a little bit. So much of our game plan was about their quarterback position, and he's really the straw that stirs the drink for them, and he's a great player. And I think while we were trying to protect our guys and keep our focus, and we didn't know if he was going to be in or out for sure until probably later, until probably Friday actually. It may have backfired a little bit from a focus standpoint. So, that's our responsibility to get the guys ready as coaches. And, we played that card, and I think it trickled into the first quarter and the first play of the game, and it was just a lack of focus.
There was two stats that you kind of threw out in your pregame, and one was the return game. We talked about how good they were.
Yeah.
I don't know, you probably don't know this yet, but they averaged 15.25 yards per return tonight. That's off the charts, Coach.
Yeah.
And you said it was going to be a key to the game, and it certainly was.
Our kickoff coverage was outstanding, and it was great to see us run down the field, defeat blocks, make tackles. There were a lot of guys making tackles too, making plays, not just one or two guys. Our kickoff team was outstanding. And we kind of played the same card we did last week. We told our kicker to kick it out of bounds on the last one. We didn't want to risk a big return. We didn't want to risk a lot of contact there, so we just kicked it out of bounds on the last one, which doesn't make the stat on the starting field position great, but we're not worried about that at that point. But kickoff team was outstanding.
The other one was takeaways. You said, you know what, a little concerned. I think our defense, we need to take the ball away more. 4 takeaways tonight. You were ball hawks. It should have been a 5th.
Yeah.
That was not pass interference, but I digress.
Yeah, I agree with you. We'll watch a video, and but to be +3 and they weren't great passes all along, but we were pressuring the quarterback. I mean, the throws that he was making when he threw the interceptions, most of those were late in the play, either because we had covered the receivers down the field and he was trying to extend the play, or it was because we were flushing him out of the pocket and he was trying to throw the ball down the field. So I think they were forced, by the coverage and by some of the rush, and we made the plays. We made the interceptions. There were still 1 or 2 others that we dropped that we would love to have back, but to be +3, that's where we want to be.
410 rushing yards tonight. That sets a program record. The total offense, 657. That's a program record. Last week you had a terrific rushing game, and I think we expected that. Did you see this kind of performance coming tonight?
Well, I don't think you could ever predict 400 rushing yards with our type of offense, but it was great. I thought we felt like we had really good matchups in blocking our offensive line. We haven't been healthy all season. We've been playing with different guys, and this was yet another week. We get one guy back and one guy goes out, and Coach Foose and those offensive linemen, they're doing a great job, and it's tough to predict 400 rushing yards, but we knew that we had an opportunity for a big night, and it took us a little bit in the third quarter to adjust. Union made some adjustments with their defense. They started bringing more pressure. It took us a little bit to adjust to that, and once we did, then we had some awful big plays, and credit goes to our kids.
Dylan didn't have the great night that we've kind of grown accustomed to, but I think Union did a really good job, especially of taking the receivers out, on the edge. I mean, when you went the passing game, it all had to be in the middle.
Yeah, I thought Dylan, off the top of my head, he had the one throw on the interception, which was a little bit underthrown. I think he threw it to the right receiver, and I think if he throws it over the top, it's probably a touchdown. But really, I thought he played pretty well. We had a couple other drops. He made a really good decision on the 3rd and 2, where we threw it out to the slot who was uncovered. We missed a block, and that's one of those you look at it and say, why is the quarterback throwing on 3rd and 2? Well, is probably a touchdown if we throw it. So, and then the other thing, we had a little bit of pressure in the pocket late in the play, and one thing that hasn't been great this year is just our ball security in there, even though we haven't fumbled. And I thought he did a great job of tucking the football. So there's some things that don't show up on the stats there. And we'll watch tomorrow, and I'm sure that he could have played better. But overall, I hate to say game manager, but that was that type of night. It was managing the game, protecting the football for the most part, and then allowing our running game to come through. And we made a couple big plays down the field as well.
Jalen Sublett sets a single-game program record, rushing record, 194 yards, tacked on 3 touchdowns. Of course, he had the big 80-yard play, which will basically take the average through the roof. But he averaged 12.1 yards per carry, and it couldn't happen to a nicer young man.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on the pregame show a few weeks ago. He's a captain and he's really one of the biggest leaders of this team. And I know that should go without saying for a captain, but his leadership is just outstanding. And he's a great young man. He works hard. His practice habits are as good as anybody in our program, and it's great to see him get that, and we're happy for him. And I know the offensive line will be happy for him.
I was looking, and I think it's just the second time ever, because Blake Engleman also rushed for 100 yards, 148. Second time ever that we've had 2 running backs rush for 100 yards in the same game. And again, that's just a pat on the back. Obviously, Blake and Jalen are tremendous athletes, and when they got into space, they just blew right by guys. But they had to have the hole to run through, and credit that offensive line.
Yeah, just we're blessed with some talented running backs, and those guys are doing a great job. And on Blake's long one, I thought the front was blocked very well, and it was going to be a 5 or 6 yard gain, and then he broke that last tackle, and all of a sudden 6 yards turns into 65. And there was great down the field blocking, and just a great job by the O-line again, and we got some running backs that can hit that big home run.
It'd be interesting to know, and we could figure this out obviously by watching the film, but after the first contact, how many tackles your guys broke all night. And I'm not just talking about Blake and Jalen. I'm talking about Alan Cooks on a couple receptions, Corey Smith over the middle. All night long, we were breaking tackles, and that produced excess yards.
Yeah, and that's so big when you have those guys that can be dynamic with the ball in their hands. And I've said to you many times, if you ask me about our offense, we say our offense is about getting the ball to athletes in space. And when we do that, those guys make us look like good coaches. And the one with probably the most tackles broken was the last one by Jalen Reed. He broke about 6 or 7 tackles. It felt like that was a great individual effort run. And we're just trying to run out the clock, and all of a sudden we break another one and put it in the end zone. But that was a great effort.
6-0 matches the all-time record, best start in program's history. You'll have a chance to break that next week. Coming into the season, Coach, I know you were looking at the schedule, and I don't know, you say 1-0 each week, and I know once you get into the season, that's exactly what you say and what you believe.
Yeah.
But I got to think during camp when you were going through, and you had to think, okay, I've got this and these guys, and we've got this leadership and that leadership. Got a chance to do something special this year.
Yeah, I think we've got a really great group, and we've come a long way since camp. We aren't the most mature team through camp, and even though we have seniors in a few spots, and we've got that senior-laden defensive line, we still had a lot of guys that were playing college football for the first time. And we talked about that at Cumberland and after Cumberland and moving forward. I think we've come a long way in a short time. We've gone. I'd rather say we've gone 1-0 6 times, and we'll try and do it again next week.
Coach, congratulations!
We got a tough challenge next week, and it's going to be a big week of preparation.
Coach, congratulations on the win.
Thanks, Chris.
That's